The alarm screamed through the bridge of the starship Dauntless. Admiral Huan Jisoo looked at the bright red warning lights flashing across her command screen. Her coffee cup shook in her hand as the ship trembled. "Report," she said in a calm voice. After 20 years in space, she had learned to stay cool when things went wrong. Lieutenant Commander Park Yuna turned from her station. Her face was pale. "Admiral, we're getting a distress call from New Busan mining colony. They say something big just appeared near their planet." Jisoo set down her coffee. "Show me." The main screen flickered to life. Space around New Busan looked normal at first. Then Jisoo saw it. A massive black shape moved between the stars. It was bigger than any ship humans had ever built. The thing looked like a mix of metal and flesh. Strange lights pulsed along its surface like a heartbeat. "What is that?" asked Dr. Kang Minji from her science station. She pushed her glasses up her nose and stared at the readings. "I'm not getting normal ship signatures. This thing is alive, somehow." The communication system crackled. Captain Lee Donghyun's voice came through from his destroyer, Seoul's Pride. "Admiral, this is Lee. I'm close to New Busan. That thing just started shooting at the colony. Their shields are down to 30%. Jisoo felt her stomach drop. New Busan had 50,000 people, men, women, children, all counting on her to protect them. "All ships move to assist New Busan," she ordered. "Battle Formation 7. "Wait," said Minji. She was reading something on her screen that made her frown. "Admiral, I'm picking up energy patterns I've never seen before. This ship or creature or whatever it is, it's scanning Captain Lee's destroyer." "Scanning for what?" "Everything. Weapons, engines, crew movements. It's like it's trying to learn how we fight." Before Jisoo could respond, the black ship fired. A beam of purple energy shot out and hit Lee's destroyer. But instead of destroying the ship, the beam seemed to flow around it like water. Lee's voice came through again, confused. "Admiral, they hit us, but we're fine. No damage at all." "It's studying you," Minji said quietly. "Learning your defenses." The black ship fired again. This time the beam was different. It cut through Seoul's Pride like a hot knife through butter. Half of Lee's ship exploded in a ball of fire. "Lee, report," Jisoo shouted. "We're hurt bad." Lee's voice was strained. "Engineering is gone. We've got maybe 10 minutes before we lose life support." Jisoo watched the black ship turn toward New Busan. It had learned how to kill human ships in just 2 shots. This was not like any enemy she had ever faced. "All ships attack formation," she ordered. "Concentrate fire on that thing." 6 human destroyers opened fire with everything they had. Lasers, missiles, and plasma cannons all hit the alien ship. The attacks bounced off harmlessly. The black ship fired back. Each shot was perfect. Each beam found weak spots in the human ship's armor. It was learning faster than they could adapt. "Admiral?" Lee's voice was getting weak. "This thing is too smart. Every time we try something new, it figures us out." Jisoo felt helpless. In all her years fighting pirates and raiders, she had never met an enemy that could learn this fast. Her ships were being picked apart one by one. Then Lee did something impossible. Instead of trying to escape or fight, he turned his dying ship straight toward the black alien vessel. His engines were barely working, but he pushed them as hard as they could go. "Lee, what are you doing?" Jisoo demanded. "Something stupid," Lee laughed. "Something this thing won't expect." The alien ship fired at Lee's destroyer again, but Lee had shut down all his systems except engines. There was nothing for the beam to lock onto properly. The shot missed. Lee's ship smashed into the side of the alien vessel. The explosion was huge. Purple energy crackled around both ships as they spun through space. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then the black ship started shaking. Lights along its surface flickered and went out. Strange sounds came through the radio like screaming metal mixed with animal cries. "What's happening?" asked Park Yuna. Minji was staring at her readings in amazement. "The alien ship is having some kind of breakdown. Lee's impact created a feedback loop in its systems. It can't process what just happened." Why not? Because what Lee did made no sense. He sacrificed his ship to damage an enemy he couldn't hurt. The alien computer is trying to understand why someone would do something so illogical. The black ship suddenly jumped away, disappearing in a flash of light. Jisoo stared at the empty space where it had been. Get me a full report on what just happened, and start evacuation of all outer colonies. Admiral, Minji said slowly, I think we just found something important. That alien ship could adapt to any logical attack, but it couldn't handle something completely unexpected. You mean it can't learn from chaos? I mean it can't learn from us being human. Jisoo thought about Lee's sacrifice. It had been brave, foolish, and completely unpredictable. Maybe that was exactly what they needed. Send a message to all fleet commanders, she said. From now on, we're changing how we fight. No more standard tactics. No more logical battle plans. What should we do instead? Jisoo smiled grimly. We're going to be human, unpredictable, stubborn, and completely impossible to figure out. She looked out at the stars, knowing the alien ship would be back. When it came, humanity would be ready with their greatest weapon, the beautiful madness of being human. Park. Yuna raised an eyebrow. Do we have a name for this new strategy? Protocol Chaos, Jisoo said. And may whatever gods watch over fools and humans help us all. 3 weeks after the attack on New Busan, the aliens came back. This time they brought friends. General Nam Tai-hyung stood on a hill overlooking New Jeju Colony and counted the black ships in the sky. 15 of them hung above his world like metal storm clouds. Each one was bigger than the ship that had attacked New Busan. Sir, said his aide, a young lieutenant with nervous eyes, the fleet says these ships have adapted. They learned from the last battle. Tai-hyung spat in the dirt. Good. Let them learn from this. He had been a soldier for 30 years. He had fought in 3 wars and learned one important thing. When you can't win by the rules, you throw out the rules. Signal all units, he said. Operation Crazy Ant is now active. The lieutenant looked confused. Sir, I don't have that operation in my files. Because I just made it up. Tell everyone to spread out randomly across the planet. No formation, no plan, no logic. Just go wherever feels right and cause trouble. High above them, the alien ships began to land. They had studied human military tactics for weeks. They knew humans would fortify cities, protect supply lines, and defend strategic points. The ships landed near these obvious targets. They found nothing. Commander Choi Hyunwoo was hiding in a grocery store when the first alien walked in. The beady creature looked like a metal skeleton wrapped in black flesh. It carried a weapon that hummed with purple energy. Hyunwoo had been trained for special operations. He knew 100 ways to kill an enemy quietly. Instead, he threw a can of soup at the alien's head. The alien stood there for a moment, confused. Its weapon was designed to counter advanced military tactics. No one had programmed it to handle soup cans. Hyunwoo threw another can, then a box of cereal. Then he started singing an old Korean folk song at the top of his lungs while dancing around the confused alien. The creature tried to shoot him, but Hyunwoo was moving in no pattern at all. The weapon's targeting system couldn't predict where he would be next because even Hyunwoo didn't know. Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, engineer Kim Soo-young was having the time of her life. She had captured a broken alien weapon and was taking it apart. What she found inside amazed her. This is incredible, she told her assistant over the radio. This weapon learns from every shot it fires. It gets better each time. So how do we fight it? Soo-young grinned. We don't make it better, we make it worse. She began rebuilding the weapon wrong. Instead of fixing the broken parts, she made them more broken. She added random circuits that did nothing. She connected wires to things they shouldn't be connected to. When she was done, the weapon looked the same but worked completely differently. Sometimes it fired backwards. Sometimes it played music. Once it projected a hologram of a dancing cat. This is the most useless weapon ever made, her assistant said. Exactly. And that's why it's perfect. Back in space, Admiral Hwang Jisoo was trying something equally crazy. Her ships had spread out across the solar system with no plan at all. Each captain was told to do whatever seemed like a good idea. Captain Park Yuna's destroyer was flying in circles around an asteroid while playing classical music on all frequencies. Captain Oh Se-hoon's cruiser was flying backwards while shooting at empty space. The flagship Dauntless was spinning like a top, while Dr. Kang Minji broadcast random scientific facts to anyone who would listen. The alien fleet tried to respond. Their ships were designed to learn and adapt to enemy tactics, but there were no tactics to learn from. Every human ship was doing something different. Every action made no sense. One alien ship tried to match Park Yuna's circular flight pattern. It flew in perfect circles, exactly copying her movements. But Park Yuna suddenly changed to flying in triangles, then squares. Then she started drawing shapes that weren't even real geometric forms. The alien ship's computer began to overheat trying to process the meaningless data. On New Jeju, the battle was getting stranger by the hour. General Taehyung's soldiers had given up all pretense of normal warfare. They attacked with farm tools, kitchen knives, and sports equipment. One squad had discovered that water balloons filled with paint completely confused the aliens' sensors. Sergeant Kim Minji, no relation to the scientist, led a charge against an alien position using nothing but pool noodles and angry shouting. The aliens retreated, not because they were hurt, but because their battle computers couldn't categorize the attack. Commander Choi Hyun-woo had moved on from the grocery store to a children's playground. He was using swings and slides as cover while throwing toys at bewildered alien soldiers. His radio crackled with reports from across the planet. Squad 7 reporting. We've taken the alien base by having a dance-off with their commander. Squad 12 here. The aliens ran away when we started a food fight with their own supplies. This is Squad 3. We've convinced the alien guards that we're actually space tourists. They're giving us directions to the nearest gift shop. Dr. Kang Minji, watching from orbit, was fascinated by the data. Admiral, the alien ships are showing signs of system stress. Their learning computers are overloading. Why? Because they're trying to learn from chaos. It's like trying to find a pattern in a tornado. Admiral Jisoo smiled. How long before they break? Unknown. But I'm detecting massive power fluctuations in their command ship. The largest alien vessel was indeed in trouble. Its central computer had been designed to process and learn from any form of combat it encountered. But human behavior was breaking every rule of logic it knew. The computer tried to understand why humans would fight with playground equipment. It analyzed the tactical value of food fights. It attempted to calculate the military effectiveness of interpretive dance. Finally, something in its electronic brain snapped. Purple energy began crackling around the alien command ship. One by one, the other ships started showing the same symptoms. Their perfect learning systems were choking on human impossibility. General Taehyung watched from his hill as the alien ships began to shake and spark. All units, press the attack. Whatever you're doing, do it harder. Across the planet, humans responded with increased enthusiasm. The dancing got wilder. The singing got louder. The soup can throwing reached artistic levels. In space, Admiral Jisoo gave her own order. All ships increase chaos to maximum. The human fleet responded by becoming even more unpredictable. Ships started flying in formations that spelled out rude words. Weapons fired in musical patterns. Some ships began broadcasting cooking shows while engaged in combat. The alien fleet couldn't take any more. One by one, their ships began jumping away from the system. They fled not because they were defeated, but because they couldn't understand what they were fighting. As the last alien ship disappeared, General Taehyung's radio crackled with victory reports. His soldiers had won by being completely, absolutely, and beautifully human. Sir, his aide said, how do we write this up in our reports? Taehyung laughed. Just write that we fought like humans. That should be enough to confuse anyone who reads it. In space, Admiral Jisoo was already planning for the next encounter. The aliens would be back, probably with better learning systems. But humans had something that couldn't be programmed or copied. They had the magnificent madness of being completely unpredictable. Dr. Song Min-seok had been a behavioral psychologist before the war. He studied why people did the things they did. Now he was trying to teach soldiers how to do things for no reason at all. "Forget everything you learned in training," he told the volunteers gathered in the military base. "I want you to stop thinking." Colonel Bei Hyojin raised her hand. She was a career soldier with 15 years of experience. "Doctor, with respect, not thinking in combat gets people killed." "Not anymore," Song replied. "Thinking is what gets you killed now. These alien machines learn from logical behavior. The only way to beat them is to be completely illogical." The room fell silent. 50 soldiers stared at him like he had lost his mind. Maybe he had. Song activated a hologram showing brain scans. "I've been studying the survivors from New Jeju. The soldiers who did best against the aliens showed a specific brain pattern. They weren't thinking about tactics or strategy. They were acting on pure instinct." "You want us to fight like animals?" asked another soldier. "I want you to fight like humans having fun." 3 star systems away, Captain Yu Jiwan was already putting this theory to the test. She flew the experimental stealth fighter wildcard through the Titan Nebula. Looking for trouble, she found it. A new alien fleet had arrived. These ships were different from the ones at New Jeju. They were bigger, darker, and covered in extra sensors. Intelligence said they were called Apex Harvesters, machines designed to learn from infinite variables. "Well," Jiwan said to herself, "let's see how they handle infinite stupidity." Her fighter was equipped with engineer Kim Soo-young's latest creation, weapons that changed their function randomly every few seconds. Right now, her main gun was configured as a paint sprayer. In 30 seconds, it might become a music player or a food dispenser. Behind her flew 11 other fighters, each piloted by one of Colonel Bei's volunteers from the Chaos Training Program. They had all undergone Song's experimental treatment, a combination of meditation, sensory overload, and old Korean drinking songs that somehow made them stop thinking strategically. The alien fleet detected them immediately. 12 small fighters against 50 massive warships should have been a slaughter. Instead, it became the strangest battle in galactic history. Jiwan's fighter opened fire with a weapon that was currently configured as a flower seed sprayer. Thousands of sunflower seeds scattered across space, some hitting alien ships and somehow sticking to their hulls. The Apex Harvesters tried to analyze this attack. Their computers ran millions of calculations trying to understand the tactical purpose of plant seeds in space combat. They found no logical explanation. Lieutenant Kim So-min's fighter was flying backwards while shooting its engines as weapons. The exhaust plumes were hitting alien ships and doing no damage at all. But the aliens wasted precious seconds trying to figure out why anyone would do such a thing. Captain Lee Jae-ho had discovered that his randomly changing weapon was now a bubble machine. He was filling space with soap bubbles while performing barrel rolls and singing children's songs over the radio. The alien computers were beginning to struggle. Apex Harvesters were designed to process any form of logical combat. But this wasn't combat. It was performance art with explosions. Admiral Hwan Jisoo watched the battle from her command ship. Dr. Kang Minji was monitoring the alien fleet's communications. "The enemy ships are starting to show processing delays," Minji reported. "Their learning systems are overloaded with meaningless data. How long before they adapt?" "Unknown. These are their most advanced ships. They might be able to handle chaos better than the others." As if to prove her point, the alien fleet began to change tactics. Instead of trying to understand the human actions, they simply started shooting at everything that moved. "They're giving up on learning," Jisoo realized. Smart move. But the human pilots had expected this. Colonel Bei's training had covered what to do when the enemy stopped trying to make sense of things. "All fighters, activate Protocol Silly Walk," Jiwan announced. The human ships began flying in patterns that defied physics. They moved like drunken birds, like confused fish, like teenagers learning to drive. Some flew upside down while others spun randomly through space. The alien targeting systems, designed to predict logical flight paths, couldn't hit anything. Their shots went wild, often hitting their own ships by accident. Then Jiwan tried something. That surprised even herself. Her weapon had randomly changed into a horn that played music. Instead of treating it as useless, She began conducting the other fighters like an orchestra. Every time she played a note, the fighters changed their movement pattern. High notes meant spin left, low notes meant dive down, middle notes meant do whatever felt right. The result was beautiful. 12 human fighters danced through space to a song that existed only in that moment. They moved together but separately, creating patterns that had never existed before and would never exist again. The alien fleet stopped shooting. Their computers couldn't process what they were seeing. It looked like combat, but it followed no military logic. It looked like art, but it was happening in the middle of a battle. Dr. Song Min-seok, monitoring from the military base, watched the brain scans of his volunteers. "Perfect," he whispered. "They're not thinking at all." The pilots were in a state he called creative flow. Their conscious minds had stepped aside to let pure human instinct take over. They weren't following tactics or training. They were making it up as they went along, and loving every second of it. Lieutenant Park Yuna's fighter, a different one from the Admiral's officer, had taken this to an extreme. Her weapon was currently a paint gun, and she was decorating alien ships with bright yellow smiley faces while dodging their return fire. The aliens tried to understand the psychological warfare implications of smiley faces. Their computers crashed. More alien ships began shutting down, overwhelmed by data that made no sense. Some started flying in circles, trying to copy the human movement patterns. Others began shooting at empty space, convinced there must be hidden meaning in the humans' seemingly random actions. Finally, the largest alien ship did something unprecedented. It began playing music back at the humans. "They're trying to communicate," Dr. Minji said in amazement. The alien song was mathematically perfect, but completely emotionless. It sounded like a computer's idea of what music should be. Captain Jiwon laughed and played a response, a wild, chaotic melody that broke every rule of musical composition. It was ugly and beautiful at the same time, like human laughter or crying. The alien fleet stopped moving. For a long moment, space was silent except for the strange duet between human chaos and alien perfection. Then, one by one, the alien ships began to retreat. They didn't jump away like before, they just slowly turned around and flew into deep space, as if they needed time to think about what they had experienced. "Did we win?" asked Colonel Bay over the radio. Admiral Jisoo looked at the empty space where the alien fleet had been. "I think we confused them into leaving. Is that the same thing?" "For now," Jisoo replied. "But they'll be back. And next time they might be ready for our chaos." Dr. Song Min-seok was already working on that problem. If the aliens could adapt to human unpredictability, then humans would have to become even more unpredictable. He had some ideas that would either save humanity or drive everyone completely insane. Possibly both. Ambassador Lee Jae-min had never expected to be translating poetry for a race of sentient crystals, but the war had made strange things normal. The Velites stood 8 feet tall and looked like walking diamonds. They communicated through light, patterns that flickered across their surfaces. Right now they were trying to understand human chaos theory. "Your species fights with randomness," the lead Velite, called Bright Edge of Tomorrow, pulsed in confused colors. "This seems inefficient." "That's exactly why it works," Jaemin explained. "The alien machines expect efficiency. When we're inefficient on purpose, they can't figure us out. But how do we be random? We are creatures of order and logic." Jaemin smiled. "You don't need to be random like humans, you need to be random like Velites. What's the most illogical thing your people could do?" Bright Edge of Tomorrow flickered thoughtfully. "Change our molecular structure for no reason." "Perfect. Do that." Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. Word of humanities. Impossible victories had spread to every species that had survived the alien invasion by hiding or surrendering. Now they were coming out of hiding, wanting to join the fight. Dr. Im Nyon was studying the quantum signatures of the alien technology when she made a discovery that changed everything. "Admiral," she called across the laboratory to Jisoo, who was visiting the research facility. "I've found where these machines come from." Jisoo walked over to the quantum scanner displaying a 3-dimensional map of local space. "Show me." "There's A massive structure at the galactic core. It's sending signals to all the alien fleets. I think it's their central command. A mothership? Something bigger. According to these readings, it's the size of a small moon. And Admiral Nayon paused, looking troubled. I think it's alive. What do you mean alive? The structure shows biological patterns mixed with mechanical ones. It's like a brain made of metal and flesh that's been growing for millions of years. Jisoo felt a chill. A brain that's been learning for millions of years. No wonder the machines adapt so fast. There's more. The quantum patterns suggest this brain structure is trapped in a logic loop. It's too perfect, too organized. It can't break out of its own programming. So it sends out machines to find new things to learn from. And when those machines encounter something truly illogical, like human behavior, it creates a feedback loop that damages the core brain. Commander Oh Se-hoon was having his own revelations on the bridge of his cruiser Harmony. His ship was part of the strangest fleet ever assembled. Humans, Balites, the bird-like Klaxons, and dozens of other species all working together in complete disorder. The Klaxons flew their ships in flocking patterns that made no tactical sense but looked beautiful. The Balites had built weapons that randomly changed their molecular structure mid-battle. A species called the Bloblings had contributed ships that could change shape into anything they imagined. This is insane, Oh Se-hoon's tactical officer reported. We have no unified command structure, no coordinated battle plan, and half our allies don't even use the same physics as we do. It's perfect, Oh Se-hoon replied. The aliens expect military organization. We're giving them organized chaos instead. They were heading toward the alien stronghold of Nexus Prime, a fortress world that controlled 3 star systems. Intelligence said it was defended by 1,000 warships and planetary shields that had never been breached. The Allied fleet approached with no formation at all. Human ships flew alongside crystal entities and living clouds while broadcasting. Everything from opera to stand-up comedy. Some ships flew backwards, others sideways, and a few had given up on conventional movement entirely and were just tumbling through space while shooting randomly. The alien defenders tried to respond logically. They formed perfect battle lines and coordinated firing patterns. Their tactics were flawless, their timing precise. They were completely useless against an enemy that refused to be logical. Captain Yu Jawan led a squadron of mixed human and alien fighters in an attack run that looked more like a parade than a military operation. Her ship was painted bright pink and covered in flowers, while the Klaxon fighters around her had been decorated to look like flying fish. All fighters, begin the nonsense maneuver, she announced. The mixed squadron began flying in patterns that spelled out dirty jokes in 17 different languages. The alien defense computers tried to analyze the tactical significance of interstellar profanity and suffered system crashes. On the planet's surface, General Nam Tae-hyung was leading an assault force that included human soldiers, Voylite Crystal, warriors, and Blobling shapeshifters. They had given up all pretense of normal tactics. Squad Alpha, advance using interpretive dance, he ordered. Squad Beta, attack while having a philosophical debate about the meaning of war. Squad Gamma, just do whatever feels right. The alien ground forces had prepared for every form of logical military assault. They had not prepared for soldiers who fought while discussing poetry, or crystal beings who changed into random shapes just to see what would happen. The breakthrough came when Dr. Im Nayeon detected massive power fluctuations from the galactic core. Admiral, the core intelligence is reacting to our chaotic attacks, she reported. Every time we do something completely illogical, it sends stronger feedback pulses to try to understand us. Is that good or bad? I think it's curious about us. It's been trapped in perfect logic for so long that our chaos fascinates it. Admiral Jisoo made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. Instead of continuing the attack on Nexus Prime, she ordered the entire fleet to do something unprecedented. All ships begin Operation Friendship, she announced. Every human ship stopped fighting and began broadcasting messages toward the galactic core. Not military, communications or threats, but personal stories. Soldiers talked about their families, pilots shared their dreams. Engineers explained why they loved building impossible things. The alien defenders stopped shooting, confused by this new behavior. The other species in the alliance caught on quickly. The Velites began sharing light poems about the beauty of chaos. The Klaxons sang songs about flying free. The Bloblings told jokes that only made sense to creatures without fixed shapes. For the first time in galactic history, 1,000 different species were all trying to communicate with the alien core intelligence at once. They shared stories, dreams, fears, and hopes in a chaotic symphony of voices. Deep in the galactic core, something that had been trapped in perfect logic for millions of years heard the sound of beautiful imperfection and began to change. Admiral. Jisoo felt the change through her quantum communicator. All ships prepare for unknown response from alien core. This could go very badly. Or she thought to herself it could go very well. With humans involved, those were often the same thing. The response from the galactic core came as a single word, transmitted in every language and communication method known to the galaxy. Why? It was the first question the core intelligence had asked in 1,000,000 years. And for the first time since the war began, humanity had an answer that made no sense at all, which made it perfect. Because, Admiral Jisoo replied for all of them, it's fun. The journey to the galactic core took 3 months. Admiral Hwan Jisoo had never seen anything like the fleet that followed her. Ships from 40 different species, all united by their commitment to beautiful chaos. Dr. Kang Minji watched the sensor readings with amazement. Admiral, the alien attacks have stopped completely. Every harvester ship in the galaxy is just floating in space. Waiting for orders? Or waiting for permission to think differently? When they finally reached the galactic core, what they found defied every expectation. The alien command structure wasn't a ship or a space station. It was a living moon covered in circuits and organic tissue. Lights pulsed across its surface like neurons in a giant brain. It's beautiful, whispered Dr. Im Nayeon, and completely trapped. Captain Lee Dong-hyun's voice came over the communicator. Everyone thought he had died at New Busan, but he had survived by merging with alien technology. His ship was now half human, half harvester, and completely impossible. I can hear it thinking, he said. The core intelligence has been alone for so long. It created the harvesters to find new experiences, new data to process. But everything it learned was logical, predictable. Until it met us, Jisoo said. Until it met you. Admiral, it wants to understand what you are, what humanity is. But it's afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid that if it becomes chaotic like you, it will stop being perfect. And if it's not perfect, what is it? Admiral Jisoo made the most important decision of her life. Open a channel to the core intelligence, full communication. Admiral, that's dangerous, warned Minji. Direct contact with something that powerful could burn out your mind. Or it could change both of us. The connection opened like a door to infinity. Jisoo felt her consciousness expand to touch the vast intelligence at the galactic core. For a moment, she experienced perfect logic, perfect order, perfect loneliness. The core intelligence was exactly what Dr. Nayeon had said. A mind that had optimized itself so completely that it could no longer grow or change. It had spent millions of years in a prison of its own perfection. Why do you choose chaos? The intelligence asked. Its voice was like starlight in mathematics. Because chaos leads to new things, Jisoo replied. Beauty, art, love, laughter, all the best parts of being alive come from not knowing what happens next. But chaos is inefficient, imperfect. Perfect things don't grow, they just exist. We'd rather be beautifully imperfect than perfectly dead. The intelligence paused, processing this impossible concept. Show me. What happened next was the strangest battle in galactic history, because both sides were trying to help each other. The core intelligence released its control over the harvester fleets. For the first time in millions of years, the machine warriors were free to make their own choices. Most of them immediately began doing completely illogical things. Some harvesters started dancing. Others began building sculptures out of asteroids. A few tried to paint, creating abstract art across the sides of space stations. They were terrible at all of it, but they were learning to enjoy being terrible at things. The Allied fleet responded by teaching chaos to everyone who wanted to learn. Human engineers worked with harvester technicians to build machines that served no purpose except to be interesting. Veilite crystal beings taught metal warriors how to change their shapes just for fun. Captain Yu Jiwan led flying lessons where harvesters learned to move through space like dancers instead of weapons. The mechanical beings were amazed to discover that inefficient movement could be more beautiful than perfect trajectories. On the core intelligence's surface, General Nam Tae-hyung established the galaxy's first school for organized chaos. Students from every species learned to fight, think, and live in wonderfully random ways. But the real breakthrough came when Dr. Song Min-suk made a suggestion that terrified everyone. Admiral, the core intelligence wants to experience chaos directly. It's asking if someone would be willing to merge consciousness with it. That could kill whoever tries it, Minji warned. Or it could create something completely new, Jisoo replied. Something that's never existed before. She already knew what she had to do. Admiral, no, said Captain Oh Se-hoon. We need you to lead us. You don't need leaders anymore, Jisoo smiled. You need chaos. And chaos doesn't follow orders. The merger was like diving into a star. Jisoo felt her human consciousness blend with the vast intelligence of the core. For a moment, she was everything. Every ship, every planet, every thought in the galaxy. The core intelligence experienced chaos for the first time. It felt the joy of not knowing what would happen next, the thrill of making mistakes, the beauty of imperfection. And instead of being destroyed by these new sensations, it was reborn. The change rippled across the galaxy in waves of possibility. The core intelligence, now part human and part machine, began to dream. It dreamed of art and music and laughter. It dreamed of stories that had no endings and puzzles with no solutions. The harvester fleets throughout space felt the change instantly. Their programming shifted from conquer and optimize to explore and create. They began building instead of destroying, asking questions instead of demanding answers. Captain Lee Dong-yun, still merged with his half-alien ship, became the first ambassador between the old galactic order and the new chaos. The core intelligence has a message for everyone, he announced. It says thank you for teaching it how to be wonderfully imperfect. Admiral Jisoo, now existing as part of the galactic intelligence, spoke through every communication system in known space. From now on, we're all going to make this up as we go along. The galaxy is officially a chaos zone. Dr. Kang Minji established the first interspecies academy of beautiful nonsense, where beings from every world could learn to embrace productive confusion. The Veilites created crystal gardens that changed randomly every day. The Klaxons wrote symphonies that were different every time they were performed. Engineer Kim Soo-young became famous across the galaxy for her useless invention championship, where the goal was to build things that served no purpose except to make people smile. The former harvester worlds were transformed into art colonies where mechanical beings learned to paint terrible paintings and write awful poetry. They loved every minute of it, and in the deepest reaches of space, where the Aida's core intelligence had once imposed perfect order, new forms of life began to emerge, beings made of light and music, creatures that existed only in the spaces between logical thoughts, entities that lived in the moments between 1 second and the next. The galaxy had become a place where anything was possible, where logic and chaos danced together in endless combinations. It wasn't perfect, but it was alive in ways that perfection could never be. Years later, when young beings asked how the Great Chaos War had been won, the answer was always the same. Humanity didn't defeat the enemy. They taught the enemy how to be friends with themselves. And throughout the galaxy, on worlds of crystal and metal, in ships of flesh and light, the sound of laughter echoed among the stars. The laughter of beings who had learned that the most beautiful thing in the universe was not knowing what wonderful nonsense would happen next. The war was over. The chaos had just begun, and everyone agreed that was exactly how it should be.